Today, you're like, what's going on? Today, we are exploring the world of coriander. And by exploring it, we're just gonna use it in this recipe. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make my coriander carrots. This recipe is basically a vegetable side. It's roasted carrots. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook them in a really flavorful liquid that is loaded with spices. And then we're gonna top it with toasted pumpkin seeds, freshly chopped cilantro, and fresh lime juice. And it makes for a really delicious, vibrant, beautiful vegetable side that you can serve with lunch, dinner, or you can just eat them as a snack. So let's dive into this recipe. So for these carrots, I want you to feel like you're really biting into something. So if you have smaller bits like this, just eat those or put them in a salad or something, because we want all the pieces to be around the same size. So like for this one, I'm gonna cut it on a bias, and that way I can get a big piece. They don't have to be exactly the same size, but you know what I mean. If they're around the same size, they're gonna cook more evenly, and that's kind of the goal for this. I mean, can you believe that I grew these? Yes, you can. Let's cut this big daddy. You can see I'm trying to create some nice angles. This one's gonna be big, so we'll cut that one in half. Cut this one in half. And you can see what I'm doing. Like, I want you to be able to serve a plate of these carrots and they look really big and juicy and ready to take a big bite into. Okay, so now that we have our carrots cut, we're gonna add it to a skillet. And so this is 2 pounds of carrots. Perfect. I would say when you're shopping, get a little bit more than 2 pounds, because after you peel them and remove the tops, you're gonna lose some. So definitely get a little bit more than 2 pounds, and that way you can be working with an exact 2 pounds of carrots that you'll be roasting. So for this recipe, we are going to use my cast iron skillet. You could use like a 9x13-inch baking dish, because we are going to put liquid, so you do need to have the sides that come up. And also, if you don't have a dish that's this big, or you want to make less, you can absolutely half the recipe. But I would definitely recommend just making the full recipe, because this, I would say, serves about 4 people if it's a vegetable side. But I could eat the whole batch by myself. So we have our carrots in the skillet. Now let's add our seasonings and spices. So first up, ground coriander. If you don't like coriander, you can actually not use it, and you can replace it with rosemary, and it's really good. So rosemary carrots are delicious. And then you could just, when you serve it, you wouldn't put the chopped cilantro on top, but you could still put the pumpkin seeds and the lime juice. So we're gonna add 1.5 tablespoons of ground coriander. Okay. Next up, we're gonna add 1/2 tablespoon of cumin, and then 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Now we're gonna put in, I would say, half a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper. So in this pepper grinder, I have Szechuan peppercorns, and they have kind of a numbing effect, which in large amounts I don't love, but in small amounts, it's really nice. And it gives kind of a special quality to a dish. So I'm gonna put about a fourth of a teaspoon. A little goes a long way. Now we'll add a tablespoon of tamari. This is a smoked tamari, but you can use regular tamari. And a tablespoon rice vinegar. So that's 2 tablespoons rice vinegar. And then we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of olive oil, and then a good sprinkling of salt. So I would say start with half a teaspoon, taste it, see where you're at. Okay, let's give this a toss and see where we're at. Now, you don't have to worry about crowding the pan because we are going to, we want these to be succulent and tender, so we're really not trying to get them crispy. But this is about as much as I would do. So if you want to double this recipe, I would say you need to do it in a large baking dish. Coriander and cumin, they're BFFs. Like when they get together, they throw down. They put on Pretty Woman. They open up a bottle of rosé. They chill hard. Like they just know how to chill. So before these go in the oven, we're gonna do one more little trick. We're gonna add 1 cup of Mountain Valley spring water. Honestly, I don't use the tap water in New Orleans. It has lead. I'm not kidding. This is a great little tip when roasting carrots because you could just roast them like this and they'll still be delicious, but I feel like they kind of dry out. So by adding this water, when it cooks initially, it's going to like steam and go into the carrots, and then by the end of it, it's going to be evaporated and we'll be left with kind of like a saucy texture. So the oven's preheated to 375. So we're going to do 15 minutes. Then we're gonna flip it, rotate it, and do it for an additional 15 minutes, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, so while the carrots are roasting in the oven, we're going to toast our pumpkin seeds. So what I like to do with pumpkin seeds is I like to add just a little bit of oil to help them out. It just helps them to get loosey-goosey. And then we're gonna add some sea salt. So I would say a good sprinkling. And then we're going to turn the heat on. I'm going to put it on medium-high. If you look down here, you'll start to see some browning. So that's good. That's what you want. So these are looking pretty close. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit. But this is exactly what you want. I would say we're getting close to 5 minutes. Ooh, you smell these? Mmm. Okay, we're done. 15 minutes is up. Let's check on these boogers. Oh! All right, we're just gonna give them a little toss. Look at that beautiful color from the purple carrots. Oh, doesn't it smell divine? So I think these are going to need longer than 15 minutes, but I'm just going to start with 15 additional minutes, and then we'll give them a little taste test, adjust any seasonings, and finish baking them off. been an additional 15 minutes, so now we're at the 30-minute mark. All right, I'm just gonna give it one more toss, and I do want to give it a taste to see what's going on in the flavor department. We are going to add a little bit more salt. So now we're going to do this for an additional 15 minutes for a total of 45 minutes. The liquid has evaporated and it's turned into like this thick glaze. And so I just want to toss these carrots. This is perfect. They're still firm, but they're tender and they're juicy. And you can taste the cumin and the coriander. Okay, so we are ready to add the toppings. So for the cilantro, I just like to cut the top off, and you can totally leave the stem. So we're not going to use all of this. We're just going to use probably about half. You want to do a rough chop because you want people to immediately see and know that it's cilantro. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I'm going to sprinkle some kind of underneath it. If you don't love cilantro, you could also use mint here. That's really good. Now we're gonna add the lime. So get a big, juicy lime, squeeze it. And then what I like to do with citrus is I like to cut it into smaller pieces, and that way it's easier to squeeze. And now we'll add the pumpkin seeds. All right, so now we're ready to taste it. So I want to get a piece with the pumpkin seeds and the cilantro. Come on, come on. Y'all. I'm very pleased. It's so comforting, but also refreshing and bright at the same time. And just look at it. You know it's good for you. Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all. So there you have it. This is my coriander carrots. I hope that you love it. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.